that it's recording, we can start. Go ahead.
Perfect. Thanks, Fanon. Appreciate the introduction. I got the bar, so we're ready to roll. So thanks everybody for joining this afternoon. I know everybody has a busy schedule, so thanks for taking the time out to spend an hour with us. We hope you get out of it what you came for. This webinar kind of builds on one we did a little over a month ago on customer insights. We'll talk about that in a bit. But again, thanks for joining. We as we go through today, we're going to give you a little bit of an overview of Dynamics 365 marketing, and we're going to talk a little bit about the webinar we did a month ago, and we do have a recording for that as well. Then we're going to talk about a few customer stories that we've kind of worked on together with Coffee and Done, and then you're going to see a demonstration, and that demonstration will kind of give you a day in the life of marketing, and then feel free to ask questions. You can type those in the chat window anytime throughout. We'll monitor them and try to address them. We've got a small enough group that we should be able to answer those questions as we go. And then lastly, we'll have some wrap up. So myself, I'm Gary Chris, the VP of Microsoft Dynamics Business Applications. I have on with me as well Dave Wendell, who's the VP of Sales for Cambay. And then Brooke, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce your team.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I am the Business Development Director with Coffee and Done, and we will be giving the presentation and demonstration for Dynamics 365 marketing today. Also on the line is Madison Reber, and she's the one that will be leading us through the demonstration, and Thomas Manders is our Managing Director, and he's on the line as well to help answer questions as they come in too.
Thanks, Brooke. So a little bit about Cambay. We've been around for a while, delivering Microsoft services. We have 1,300 folks globally, consultants, 100 plus customers, multiple projects. We're on the Inc. Fastest growing list 4 years in a row. We do also represent Microsoft in all their clouds. As you can see, we do represent the Dynamics, which we're going to talk about today, but also modern collaboration, the Azure clouds, BI and analytics as well. Brooke, if you'd like to talk a little bit about Coffee and Done.
Yeah, absolutely. Marketing is really Coffee and Done's expertise. We have been a premier partner for Microsoft Dynamics for the past 8 years. Our focus primarily has stood around consulting and implementation for the Dynamics 365 marketing application. Really, when Microsoft began developing the application on the Dynamics 365 platform, we actually collaborated with their product and engineering teams to help define the requirements for the product. And then we continue to work with Microsoft very closely, the only partner that has weekly meetings with their engineering and product teams and monthly meetings with their product leadership executives. We also created and continue to update all of the learn and training content you find online around Dynamics 365 marketing. And overall, our team is, we're in the application every single day, day in and day out. And we're inclusive of solution and technical architects, developers, management consultants, and then marketers like myself.
Thanks, Brooke. So we have a couple questions just so we understand our audience a bit. Fanon, if you wouldn't mind launching the first question. Thanks, Fanon. And then we have one more, second question. Fanon, could you launch that one as well? Thanks, Fanon. So I had mentioned this is the second in a three-part series of Dynamics webinars. The first one was on customer insights, and that link you'll see right there. If anybody wants it, just ask. We'll be happy to send it. It's on our website as well. And then we'll talk about a date we have for a follow-up webinar on customer service as well. So, as I mentioned, we did have a webinar a few weeks ago talking about customer insights, and that product allows you to actually take disparate data within your organization, whether you have different CRM systems even, and different accounting systems, different operational systems, and organize those together. In that webinar, we talked a lot about the ability to go in and merge this data together and build segments. And Brooke's going to talk about that in a minute and Madison on how those segments then flow into the marketing module. They can be used for other things as well as I do have an example here on just being able to view these customer insights on the screen. You definitely can do that, but the key is being able to organize this data together, all this disparate data, into a cohesive view and be able to build segments on it in order to market effectively. And that's one of the area where people struggle tremendously, is being able to organize this data. So again, all this is really to kind of close this gap and be able to provide better customer service, better marketing, more pointed marketing. And I think one of the things that frustrates people so much is just getting blasted daily, whether it be through emails, whether it be through text, with information that really isn't relevant to them. And I think that's the biggest gain we see out of not only customer insights, but also then the Dynamics marketing, is being able to target that. And instead of me talking about that in detail, Brooke, I'm going to turn it over to you, and just let me know when you need a slide advance, and I'll let you and Madison handle it from here.
Sure, sounds great. Thank you, Gary. And thank you, Gary, and the Cambay team for having us here today to talk about our very favorite topic, which of course is marketing. So I want to start off today's presentation actually going to use Gary's customer insight slides as a segue into our marketing discussion, because really the customer experience, it all begins and ends with data. How to capture that data and have the ability to leverage it in a user-friendly way in order to deliver the ultimate customer experience. The challenge here, of course, is that, as we all know, the way we are all and our customers are all researching and being influenced and making purchases in their buyers' journeys, they're changing every day. So capturing that data across the various channels and mediums, putting that into meaningful views into one place so that all of the customer-facing groups within your organization can see that information is really critical to the success of your business. And so this is really where Dynamics 365 marketing comes into play, and where our expertise comes through, helping to establish your marketing goals and then the related data, so that then you can effectively set yourself up for success to execute against those marketing goals in Dynamics marketing. Go ahead, Gary. And so, those buying and research trends that I mentioned, they also offer up some corresponding challenges, or you could call them opportunities. And they appear in ways to sales and marketing teams, like sellers saying there aren't enough leads, or the quality of leads isn't good enough, how the leads are being provided isn't really efficient. Marketing says there isn't enough visibility into what happened to the leads they delivered. And because of the variety of ways these customers are buying today, there's no real single view of a prospect to know a customer's interest or history. This is kind of the age-old B2B marketing and sales relationship, certainly that I've experienced. But what this really leads to is it results in things like odd communications to your customers that are either irrelevant content or have odd timing or just general missed opportunities you have with your contacts. So at the end of the day, if there's one challenge, I really hear repeatedly from CMOs and marketing VPs, and I know I experienced it myself in marketing roles, is there's no real clear way to accurately report on the revenue that marketing is driving to the business.
Ready for me?
Yes. So with that, Microsoft offers Dynamics 365 as the answer. With its 360-degree view of the customer across the different business functions, from marketing, sales, service, these applications, they've been built from the ground up on one common data service. The contact or account information is the same. It just simply provides different views that are most beneficial to marketing, sales, or service, and also offers, of course, the different functionalities in order to perform their jobs. And truly, unlike other marketing platforms that are out there, where you might get a lot of old technical debt from being built years ago, which can end up resulting in being hard to use for marketers or just having the inability to integrate well with other technologies. The Dynamics platform is really flexible, it's easy to use, and the apps work seamlessly together. Hi, Gary. And so, speaking of really working seamlessly together, I thought this slide was important to touch on because we know that people, are considering and they consider all kinds of marketing platforms. And so, the slide on the right here, the graphic shows again how all the apps on Dynamics, are based on one common data service. The left are really examples of the integration issues that we see when customers are trying to connect Dynamics CRM and other marketing platforms together when we first meet clients. While many of the challenges lie on the IT side, which of course includes the management of these connections, they're very costly, very time consuming. But actually the results of what that flows into is the marketing teams having really painful issues with data integrity, like duplicate or even empty contact records, and reporting issues with the inability to really simply tie back email or campaign results to contact records. And these issues are just easy to find by a simple Google search. And so all of that suffice to say, there's a clear reason why people do choose Dynamics 365 marketing as their marketing platform of choice. Can advance. So here's a summary of Dynamics 365 marketing and all the features and functionalities. Simply put, it's about getting the right message to the right audience at the right time, and of course, with the right call to action based on that digital feedback loop. So if we follow the tops, it's kind of a wheel of a typical go-to-market strategy for a marketer. The top right, it all starts and begins, of course, with data. We often help clients with data architecture, governance, and structure, and so on. And then, you start your marketing. So then to begin to be able to effectively target and segment your customers, I often say to customers, think about Dynamics as being a living, breathing database. There's no longer static lists. Each time a contact engages with your organization, that data is perpetually being added to the contact record, essentially gathering more and more data to be able to better target and personalize with every interaction you have with your clients. Then, of course, the ability to easily create your emails, landing pages, forms, journeys. It's all drag and drop functionality with templates to leverage. Moving from there, with your leads flowing from journeys to qualification to then sales getting involved. And this is really the area where the application highlights the true value of the one platform for dynamic sales and marketing. With sales being able to see every action a contact has had with the company before picking up that phone, and marketing being able to see what's happening to the leads that they provided, and making better decisions on how to assist sales and continuing to nurture those leads. not to mention, of course, what happens to those leads and seeing the actual revenue conversions, all very important with that sales and marketing alignment through Dynamics. Continuing on, there's an extensive event planning and management module that I sometimes call a little known secret within Dynamics. It comes with the application. We have customized the module for many clients for either in-person event planning and management, but also with the pandemic, of course, virtual events and webinars have become very important. And again, the benefit here is that all of the data and communications, targeting, registrations, follow-up, all of that is executed and the data flows right back into Dynamics. And lastly, of course, most important is the ability to be able to easily analyze your marketing results and ROI and tying in the Dynamics CRM reporting there as well. And so the end result of all this is really at the end of the day to be able to deliver the best customer experience possible. And so by establishing Dynamics, our customers end up being leaders versus laggards in their industry. They're champions of smart data, and they're really at the forefront for delivering top customer experiences. So diving into the slide a little bit, the leaders recognize they want to move from batch and blast emails to think about a larger customer experience. They don't work straight up with lists anymore. They take advantage of the perpetual data that's constantly being added to your contacts. They don't want to send generic content. It's got to be personalized. It needs to be trigger-based. And they want to see one view of the customer, of course, across the organization. And the reporting associated with their marketing efforts is not activity-based anymore. It's instead filled with, rich channel and campaign and tactics, performance and insights with very actionable data that you can really make, big decisions on. And so before we dive into the demo, I'll just leave you with 2 example customer use cases that we have launched just in the past couple, or actually 6 months. Overall, we've consulted on and implemented Dynamics 365 marketing with many different organizations across a variety of industries. So, education, manufacturing, professional services, healthcare, finance, nonprofits, large B2C organizations, and so on. Across the board, organizations are finding a lot of value in Dynamics 365 marketing. So this first use case I'll talk to you about is an NFL football team that we launched with Dynamics marketing about 5 months ago, and they're really using the application to its fullest. So some of their goals included getting, of course, that 360-degree view of their fans in order to increase off-sell and upsell revenue from other events besides football in their stadium, like tennis or car racing, concerts, and so on. So we helped establish a history of each contact's interests, events, interactions, so that then those attributes can be picked up upon and run easily, easy targeted campaigns to follow up for upsell revenue. Also, to be able to deliver that really high-touch personalized marketing, as you can imagine, if you're targeting season ticket holders versus single game day fans, there's a lot of custom content that they want to communicate it. So, for example, they had a really custom game day guide for each season ticket holder that they wanted to put out. So instead of manually creating hundreds, thousands of different emails, we helped establish the right contact attributes in the system and map those back for dynamic and personalized content. So for example, if a season ticket holder in their game day guide would have their unique seat number, their unique parking area, and their unique sales rep signature at the bottom of the email, all in creating one email where the dynamic content automatically flew through. And of course, you can imagine, their communications, lots of different marketing tactics, email, social, online ads, text messaging, so on. We were able to set up lead source tracking with the UTM parameters and more for all to flow back through Dynamics to be able to track the performance of their channels and their campaigns and overall marketing attribution. And lastly here, but very noteworthy, we talked about the event planning module, really customize that to help their internal teams work together to be able to plan and execute events inside the stadium. And then the next customer use case is more of a B2B example. So we've done a variety of work with different professional services firms. The one we'll talk to today is one of the top 20 accounting firms in the U.S. One of the areas to highlight with them that I wanted to talk about today was really the consulting we did for them around helping to align their sales and marketing teams. As noted earlier, many organizations experience these challenges with just, setting their business strategies up, and then the rules behind that and the execution to help their lead management and insights and so on. So with this firm in particular, the partners in the firm who lead their business development efforts are very involved in marketing. So we first, strategize with them about appropriate KPIs they should be establishing to really effectively measure and analyze their revenue to goals. We then took advantage of their heavy sales involvement in marketing, and we created unique lead scoring models for them that supported a more modern lead management process. So for example, it provided guidance on not only when a business development manager should get involved with a lead, but rather how. So we set up their leads to be really specific to their campaigns, product, and industry lines as well. So for example, we would set up scoring for tax campaigns versus audit campaigns, or targeting financial services versus manufacturing companies, and then set up the right auto qualification and handoffs to the right sales reps based on those factors. And so we had many lead scoring models at once, and it was pretty advanced. They're finding it very successful. And the last thing I'll mention for them is that we've done for many of our clients is continue to customize various webinar integration with Dynamics. So we built a custom GoToWebinar integration and configured that for some of our clients. And we've also configured the fairly new Teams and Dynamics integration for clients. So as you can imagine, becoming very important for our clients during the pandemic. The value here is, of course, you target, you communicate, you capture all the event registration, attendance, follow-ups, all in one platform. So the webinar integrations have been very helpful for our clients. And so, as we move into the demo, I just want to give a quick overview of what you'll be seeing, what Madison is going to present. She's going to jump into the application and just give you a quick overview of the navigation and what you're seeing on the screen in front of you. And then she'll dive right into a customer journey, how to build that, the various tactics and channels you can drag and drop easily into. And then we're going to build a campaign just like a typical day of life of the marketer. You first start with targeting. We're going to build some segments. Then you build your content. So we're going to show you building emails and landing pages and forms. Then sales will get involved when your journey is executed. And then on the back end, we'll show you the insights for a campaign and overall marketing attribution. So with that said, I will pass it to Madison.
All right, thanks again, everybody, for meeting with us. As Brooke mentioned, I hope that Coffee and Done can help you explore the art of the possible and the capabilities that Dynamics 365 Marketing can do for you and your organization. So throughout this demo, I'm going to take you through a scenario with a fictitious company that's called CDI Security Services. So what we're looking at right now, this is the general interface of Dynamics and what the marketing app looks like. This is your dashboard, and it gives you a quick glimpse of how your assets are doing in the system. But Coffee and Done can also create custom dashboards with a more holistic, overarching view of your data and get a comparative view as well in Power BI. And those will display right here on your dashboards. You don't even have to leave Dynamics to view them. You can just easily toggle to them in Power BI, and they'll populate for you. But the one we're looking at right now, this is your out-of-the-box dashboard. And so I'll touch on those when we get to insights. But over on the left, this is your general navigation. So this holds all the areas that we're going to explore today. But first, I'm going to hop over into the customer journeys area, and I'll show you how to kickstart your marketing automation. Okay, so a customer journey is essentially an automated path that you send your target audience or your segment down to engage with your brand in various touch points. And then, as Brooke was mentioning, we can cater these to be specific from your behaviors or your preferences. And so in this scenario with CDI security, our target audience or our segment is going to be based off of a general inquiry form submission. So anybody who submitted that form is going to automatically be put onto the mailing list. And so this is typically how customer journeys look. You can do them horizontally, or you can do them vertically if you prefer this view. So you can easily toggle between them. But you can add elements to your canvas just by clicking on the plus sign, and it will give you the menu where you can add tiles that have different functionality. And there are also templates available if you need a starting point. But in this scenario, everybody that signed up for or submitted that form is going to get just an initial intro email. So if I click on that, I will get a little preview where I can view it. And it's just telling them a little bit more about CDI security, giving them a call to action to view the website, some of CDI's offerings, and various links for them to click on, including some social icons. And then right here is where we ask them to choose between business or residential. And so based on that choice, we can cater their messaging to be specific to those interests. So they'll actually go down one of two paths based on that choice. And so these trigger options that you see are based on behaviors. So the first trigger option is if they open this email in general. So if they did, they're going to go across the top path. And if they did not, we waited 5 days, and then we wanted to send them a gentle nurture email to remind them of CDI's services and give them another opportunity to explore. If they did open that email, we have another trigger option, and this one is an if clicked. So it's if the following link is clicked. And so if they clicked on business, they'll go across the top path. If they clicked on residential, they'll go across the bottom path. So if I'm a small business owner and I clicked on business, I'd be headed on this path. And we have various wait steps in here, which you can set at different durations to space out your communications and not spam your clients. But this next one that I'm going to receive is going to tell me more about the business related content. So the image and copy will be different, but specific to business. Give me some links to click on with different features that I would expect in the business package. And then we'll wait 2 more days and I'll get another email. And this one is just telling me a little bit more about CDI security and then has a strong call to action at the bottom to request a quote. And so yet again, we have another behavioral trigger. So if I went ahead and requested that quote, I'll go across the yes path. And so as you can see, this is where sales and marketing align in dynamics. So the value of that shared data platform. We're going to automatically send a notification over to sales to let them know that this is a high-level pursuit lead and that it's worth contacting. And so you can set these up a few different ways. The first one that you see here, this is a task. And so there are various tasks in the menu that you can choose from that are under the sales activities. So this one is a phone call, just letting that sales rep know to make that point of contact. So that's one way that sales gets involved in marketing. Another way is through a workflow. So if I went down the residential path, we can trigger a workflow that is, this one is assigned to, the lead is assigned based off of the zip code. So if I requested a residential quote, I would be automatically routed to the nearest representative in my geographic location. But with workflows, you can get pretty creative. So they could be based off of industry, service line, product, a lot of different things. So those are 2 ways that you can, sales gets involved. But then another area to note is custom channels. So here's an example of a custom channel. These are not out of the box, but they're something that Coffee and Done could help you with. So for example, if you wanted to send them to a direct mail house, if you wanted to send them a text message or a voice message, we do have experience with some third parties like Twilio and Telesign. And so we can help you with that and plug those into your customer journeys. And so you can send out text messages. For example, this one in the journey is saying, thank you for requesting a quote with CDI Security Services. A representative will be reaching out to you in the next 24 hours. Okay, so that's generally how customer journeys work. And this is your kind of final product before you go live. But now I want to dive into each of these areas, and I'll show you how we build these independently before we put them all together. So our next step we're going to dive into is segmentation and targeting. So that's our first step in the customer journey. So I can navigate now over to the segments area. And as you can see, we'll get a list view of all of our active segments. You can create different views if you'd prefer that, or you can pin them to organize them slightly differently. But to create a new one, I just come up in the command bar and click New, and it gives me two options. So a dynamic segment, this is when the system will automatically check for new segment members based on the criteria that I set. Meaning if we're looking for women of a certain age in a certain state, if a new contact comes into the system that meets that criteria, they'll automatically be pulled into a customer journey that they are fit for. And then there is a static segment. And so this is more of a manual upload or a marketing list. So I'll show you how to build these out. We'll start with a dynamic segment. And as you can see, it's prompting me to the template library. Everything in Dynamics has a template library. So if you needed a starting point, you could click on one of these and it would populate for you. But I'm going to show you how to make one from scratch. So we'll just skip that step for now. Okay, so I'll give my segment a name and then start building. And there are three building blocks of segmentation. So the first is a query block, and this is demographic data. So that could be job title, gender, address, things like that that live on the contact record. The next is behavioral block. And so this is going to be tasks completed, such as form submits, email opens, clicks, website visits. And then a segment block is a combination of the two, so it's where you're pulling in multiple segments. So I'm going to start building a dynamic segment, and I'll add a query block. And then I just start building my criteria. So we can segment off of a lot of different aspects. For example, event registrations or event-related data. You can do it off of contacts or even accounts. So if you were looking for more of a B2B scenario, you might do an account. So that's an entire organization. But I'm going to keep this on contact because we're going to look for individuals. And so I can just start putting in the criteria that I'm looking for. So I'll do job title, and then we have various operators to choose from. So I'll say is, and then we'll do owner. And so I can continue to add clauses to this, and yet again, you can change the operator, but I'm going to keep it at and because I want to include this clause. So we'll do address, and then I'll put is in, and we'll do Texas. Okay, so now that I have a query and I'm looking for all owners of their business in Texas, I can estimate size down at the bottom if I'd like to get an estimated reach for how many people are actually in my system that meet that criteria. But then I can narrow the scope even further if I'd like to add on some behavioral elements. So I can add on a behavioral block. So we're looking for all owners in Texas that also completed this specific task. And so I can click on this, and there's various behavioral elements to choose from. So I'll do form submitted. And then I can just click on my form, and I'll search for one of my CDI security forms. So we'll do request a quote. Okay. So this is the conditions and parameters that I've told the system that I'm looking for. From here is where I could, check for errors, and the system will tell me if there's anything that I need to change, and it won't let me go live yet. So once you pass the error check, then I can go live, and that's essentially your publish option. And so something to note is that we would advise you to create your content first and then plug it into your customer journey, because everything needs to be live before you can actually search for it in a customer journey. So as you can see, this is in draft status right now. If I were to go live, that would change, and I'd be able to pull it into a customer journey from that point. So you can create segments manually like this, or you can do one of Microsoft's AI functionality, which is natural language. And so I can actually just type in my regular sentence format, and it will query for me. So this is just another option that you have if you don't want to manually add in all of your clauses. Okay, So now that we've told the system what contacts or accounts we're looking for, we want to start building out our content. So I'm going to make my way over to the marketing emails area. And yet again, we'll see a list view of all of our active marketing emails. So I can come up to the top and click New. And it will prompt me to my template library again. And so as you can see, there are a lot of out-of-the-box ones that you can use. You can just click and they'll populate for you. But this is where, you know, a lot of Coffee and Done's value comes in. We go above and beyond these out-of-the-box templates. So we create them specific for your organization to meet your needs. We make sure that they match your brand standards and guidelines. We can style them to your liking and make them easy to manipulate, therefore easy on the representative or the user. And then we extensively test them before we place them in your environment to make sure that they work and render well. So if Coffee and Done created a template for you, it would look similar to this, and it would have all of your, you know, colors, branding guidelines, fonts, CSS, styling, all of that for you. And you could just select and make a few quick changes and then send your email out. So I'm going to show you an email that has some personalization. It's a little bit more advanced, but I'll talk you through the email designer. So essentially, this is your canvas, and then over on the right is your toolbox. And so this holds all the areas that you'll need to create really beautiful emails. And so the sections are going to be the columns that you can place on your canvas, and they will hold some of the smaller elements, such as, you know, buttons, images, copy. And then we have some other elements, such as design elements, advanced, and event communication. And so they're all drag and drop. Really easy to use. So if I wanted to add a button to my canvas, I can easily drag and drop, and it will open the properties panel for me where I can do any additional stylizing that I need. If I need to link my button quickly, I can do that. If I need to change any colors around or sizing, padding, tracking, you have all of that available to you in the properties panel on that element. And then I can easily delete off my canvas as well. And so as you can see, as Brooke was emphasizing previously, the need for personalized content. And so this email is supposed to be sent out after someone has had a rep contact them, and then they are setting up an appointment to have CDI security come walk through and have a technician visit them, maybe give them an estimate. And so in our copy, we have, thank you for speaking with, and this is going to dynamically pull in the representative that reached out to them. We also have dynamic content here in the appointment area, so this is going to dynamically pull the correct appointment time. And so what dynamic content is, essentially it's going to pull in personalized data that's on your contact record that's specific to you. And so we have another area at the bottom that has some dynamic content. This is the sales representative signature, so it's going to pull in her sales rep, the email, and then the phone. And so I'll show you how easy it is to actually add in some of that dynamic content. So if I come into the copy, I can type in here and I might add hi and then want to pull in the contact's first name. So as you can see, similar to like Word, you can make any stylizing changes up above. But if you see, there's an icon here that says Assist Edit. And so if I click on that, I can choose dynamic content or static content. So I'll choose dynamic and I'll go to the contact record because that's where the first name will be located. We'll choose no relationship, and then I can just start typing first name and then insert. And that will insert some dynamic content for me. It makes it really easy, and so we'd advise to use the Assist Edit when applicable. Okay, so another area that I wanted to point out and how we've made this easier on the user is through the use of content blocks. So a content block is going to be a predefined area that you don't want to change. So that could be, a signature, a list, footers, and things of that nature. And so this list that we have here, this is actually a content block. So as you can see, I can't make any changes to it. But these content blocks have names. And so if I were to accidentally delete this, and then I realize that I want that whole section back, I can just pull in my content block and then search for my CDI appointment details, and it will pull in the whole section for me. So that's one use of content blocks. Another way to use content blocks is with images. So if I pulled in a column And then I'll bring in a content block again. I can search for one of ours. It's an if then else 3 variables. And so it pulled in 3 images for me. So this first image is our business related image. The second is residential, and the third is more of a neutral image. So if I have indicated that I'm interested in one of those areas, it will dynamically pull that image in. If I have not yet indicated, it will display this hero image. Just another way to make it personalized for the user. And so I can now delete that hero image. We don't need it anymore. And I've made a few quick changes to my email. So before I send this out and go live, I might want to check a few other things. So the first would be the spam checker. So this is another one of Microsoft's AI functionality. So this is going to tell me how likely my email is to go into someone's spam folder in their inbox. Right now, we're at a relatively low risk. If this was medium or high, I can come into the details, and the system will prompt me with what changes I need to make to lower that score. We also have access to the HTML. So if you do need to make any hard code changes, CSS, JavaScript, or even just copying over some design elements, you do have access here, but by no means do you need to be proficient in HTML to use the designer. And then lastly, we might want to preview our designs. So there's 2 types of previews. There's a basic preview and then an inbox preview. The basic preview allows you to see what your designs will look like across multiple devices before you go live. And so I can toggle on the left between my devices like this. And then I can also search my dynamic content. So as you can see, that image is not showing up because it's dynamic. And so I can come over into the contact area and I can search for one of our contacts in our system. So Susan Burke is our CDI security client. And so if I search her name, I can view in the preview what her dynamic content will look like when she receives this in her inbox. So now we can see the business image was pulled in because Susan's a small business owner and has indicated that. Her first name is here. It looks like she talked to our representative, Paul Cannon, previously, so we pulled that in. Her appointment has been scheduled for Monday, May 29th at 11 a.m. And then additionally, at the bottom, we have Paul Cannon's information in case, as a consumer, she has any questions, she knows how to reach out to him. So that's one way to preview. And then the next way is with the inbox preview. So Microsoft has an integration with Litmus. And this allows you, for those of you that don't know, this allows you to see what your designs will look like on multiple devices, versions of those devices, different email types, and also different browsers. So if I wanted to see maybe Yahoo Mail and Edge, I determined that a lot of our consumers or target audience use this. I might want to test it. So I click on this one and it will open it up in a new window and show me exactly what that will render like on that browser in that email type. Okay, and then additionally, there is on the left, we do have A/B testing. So A/B testing allows you to make multiple versions of an email to see how receptive they are. Maybe one design is better than the other. And so you can make multiple versions and toggle between them and make changes. You can make changes based on the from name, the subject line, or the email body itself. So that could be images or copy. And so essentially you always have version A, which is your original version, and then you can have multiple version Bs and make as many tests as you would like. And then you can run them through a customer journey and monitor those results. So you can also determine the percentages. Maybe I want 10% to get version A, 10% to get version B, and then the remaining 80 will get the winner of those two. So you can run them multiple tests, and it gives you a good idea of which designs you should go with. Okay. So one other area of content I wanted to show you is our landing pages. So landing pages are essentially a web page that you can create and host directly within Dynamics. They have the exact same designer as we saw before, so there's no real learning curve. This keeps everything in-house. You don't have to use a third party to host. Marketers can easily create these without having to go to IT. Any dynamic forms that you create will translate onto these pages seamlessly. So all I'd have to do is drag on my form block and search for my form. And so there's a little stylizing needed. Any analytics, web trafficking, UTM parameters, all of those will flow back into the platform to be analyzed or even segmented off of. And then essentially this is going to link and tie to your current website. So it's going to be a portal that looks like an extension of your CMS. The domain will be the same, but the subdomain will differ. And so this is what that page looks like live on the web. And I don't know if you can see, it's a little small probably on your screen, but up in the URL, we have those UTM parameters here. So it says UTM source equals Twitter, UTM medium equals post, and then UTM campaign. And so that's allowing us to track how people came into our system. And so if I came in off of a Twitter post and started exploring the website, that will go back to my contact record where our sales reps and marketing reps can, analyze that and help to cultivate a relationship with me if they know more about me. And then that also allows us to focus our social efforts. So if we notice that we're getting a lot more leads from Twitter versus LinkedIn, that might change our social plan. We might want to post more on Twitter and things like that. So it's good information to know. And you can easily embed those into forms and pages, and you can even hide them, and they'll track everything for you. Okay. So next, now that we've gone over targeting and content, I want to show you, how sales alignment happens in Dynamics. And so that's the value of the one platform. So the first two ways I showed you in the customer journey, the first is a behavioral trigger, such as requesting a quote, having an automatic notification sent over to a representative. The second is the workflow. So those route to different people in your organization. That could be based on different criteria such as zip code, industry, or service line. And then the third way is going to be through lead scoring models. And so what a lead scoring model is, essentially it's allowing you to get full visibility into your leads, and they will accumulate a lead score as they do specific tasks. And then that allows us to see if this is worth contacting, if this lead is really engaged with our content or not. And so we can build these the same as we do the drag and drop before. So I just grab a condition and an action. And our condition is going to be the task completed. The action is the value associated with completing that task. And so what we have here, email opens are worth 5 points, website visits 10 points, form submits 15 points. And then you can also decrease in score. So for example, an unsubscribe will want to decrease that 30 points. And so none of these are set in stone, these values. They can be adjusted as needed. But you can do various behavioral elements, as you see here, but you can also do firmographic data. And so if you're more of a B2B client, you might want to look for, maybe you're targeting people in the industry of education. So you might put a condition as industry equals education, and you might want to bump them up 40 points because they're more fit for your target audience. Same with number of employees or maybe annual revenue, you might want to bump them up a few points. And so those are two ways that you can create lead scoring models. But then over in the grades area, this is where we get that full visibility. So up in the top is our sales ready score. So this is set at 100. Yet again, sales and marketing can come together and determine what that score should be. But in this scenario, we have 100. And so once somebody crosses that 100 threshold, they're going to automatically be routed to sales and be considered a high-level pursuit lead. And so we kind of grade these in a cold, warm, hot scenario. So as you can see, grade 1 is a lead, and this is basic behaviors such as opening or clicking 1 or 2 emails. It's not worthy of direct engagement from sales, but they can keep it on their radar. Grade 2 is nurturing, and this is 26 to 75. They have registered or engaged with more content. A rep can decide if this is a high-level pursuit. It could warrant some due diligence from a business development manager or representative. And then grade 3 is considered engaged. So this person has displayed behavior that they are ready to engage with a salesperson. And so that automatic notification will go over to sales, and they'll be able to see everything that marketing sees. And so from what I've shown you thus far, this is the marketer's point of view, a day in the life of a marketer. And so now I want to switch gears and show you what a sales rep will see. And so I'm going to be a fictitious sales rep. His name is Paul Cannon. And so say, I open my email, first thing I get a notification that a new lead has reached the sales ready threshold. Her name is Susan Burke, and this is her email address. And so you can edit these if you want to give more information to your sales reps, but I can click on this link and it will take me automatically over into the Sales Hub. And so now I can view on Susan's lead record everything about her, how she's engaged with us in the past. I can see her timeline. So I don't have to do those cold calls, as Brooke was mentioning. I can really get to know her before I make that point of contact. Those UTM parameters are located here. So Susan did come in on a Twitter post on this specific campaign. So that's good to know when cultivating a relationship with her. And from this point, I can, make that point of contact, have that conversation with her, and I can either qualify her or disqualify her, and I can even close the deal as one from within the sales hub. Maybe I think, Susan, I'm not ready to close the deal as one. I'm not ready to disqualify her. Maybe I want to go ahead and add her to another segment. So this is another way that sales can get involved. I could just come up in the top command bar and easily add her to a subscription list, marketing list, or a segment, or I could remove her from a segment as well. Okay. So that's how sales gets involved. And now I want to show you what you can see when you actually send out your or start sending out content and what those insights look like. So there's three levels of out-of-the-box insights in Dynamics. The first is contact level or lead level, then there's account level, and then there's live journey level. So I'll show you from the individual level first. And so this is Susan's lead score record. Now I'm on the insights area, and I can see her interaction timeline and how she has engaged with us in the past. So these are all timestamped and dated. I can see when she submitted forms, visited our website, opened and clicked emails. I can see her lead progress over time, including her interaction breakdown, such as, it looks like she opens a lot of emails, visits our website a lot. And then I can continue to drill down and get more specific. So if I wanted to just look at email insights, web, event, form interactions, or subscription lists, I can drill down very easily here. And then you can also see from the live journey view. So this is what, this one is a live journey, and it's actually currently running. And so if I can see that some of these wait steps, we're having people held up in certain wait steps, but this initial email has run through, so I'll click on that, and I can see total deliverability on this, the delivery funnel, KPIs, and if I click on the view details, this is where I can see a lot of rich data about how this email is doing. So unique opens, clicks, hard bounces, soft bounces, opens, click-through rate. I can also see responses over time, send results per type. So it looks like our deliverability is doing good on this email. Top 10 links clicked. You can also see a map. So if I wanted to view which areas are getting the most opens, do that easily. And then you can continue to drill down in the menu, and there's a lot of areas to explore. The click map is a great one too, because it shows you what hotspots your email is getting on clicks. So looks like our call to action is getting quite a bit, and our social icons not as many. That's good to know when designing. You might want to keep your call to action up at the top. We can see total interactions. So this is from the email level, so I can now see who has opened this email. And then lastly, I did want to show you another area for AI functionality. This is open time. So I can see that the most popular open time for this email was Monday at 12. And then I can also see email reaction times. And so you can turn on the smart scheduler in the system when you're creating a journey, and the system will actually can tell if a contact is somebody who opens their emails first thing in the morning, or if there's somebody who opens them in the evening, and the system will actually send those accordingly. So there's a lot of rich data that you can view from within the insights portion. But I know we're coming close to the end of time, so.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Madison. That's a wonderful overview, and I'm glad we were able to show some of that AI functionality there at the end as well. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Gary, but just also to note for Power BI marketing reports, feel free to head over to our website and view the recorded demo posted there where we do show that information. But I think Cambay also has a Power BI webinar coming up as well. So with that, I'll hand it over to Gary.
Thanks, Brooke. Thanks, Madison. I know there's a lot of content there, and thanks for fitting it all in. So what we wanted to find out from you is if you got out of today's presentation what you were looking to get out of the presentation. And then also we had another question. If you'd like more information, I know, we were kind of rushing to get through there, but hopefully you got the content. But if you'd like a more detailed demonstration, feel free to reach out, and we'd be happy to kind of tailor one to your specific needs. So with that, I'll leave you. There's a couple accelerators we have is Cambay, totally unrelated to marketing, but other areas that we help our customers kind of accelerate their business. You'll see these here. And then also, if there are any questions, feel free. I know we only have a few minutes, but we'd really like to hear your questions. And in the meantime, we do have some future webinars. As you see in May, we do have a Power BI one that Brooke was mentioning, and also there is a recording that they have as well. So I'll open it up to questions. Fanon, do we have any questions that we have to answer here?
Yeah, there are a few that came to me on the site, so let me just quickly cover them. And I'm sorry that we won't be able to cover all the questions in the interest of time, so I'll just pick up one or two, but feel free to reach out to us with your questions. So the first question is that Dynamics marketing is integrated with the Dynamics sales, but does it also integrate with other competitive CRM systems?
Thomas,
Do you want me to pick up, Brooke, or do you want to go ahead?
Yeah,
Sure.
Thomas.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. This is Thomas Manders. This system, of course, can be integrated with other systems. Again, the strength of the platform, of course, is that it's natively integrated with Dynamics. But should you have a different CRM and have interest in Dynamics marketing, we could certainly create an integration for you.
Great, thank you. I'm just going to cover a couple of questions more, and I know that everyone is on the clock, but we'll probably just add 1 more minute, so we'd appreciate if you can stay on. I'll just add a couple of more questions. The next one is that are Dynamics email campaigns executed through an existing Office 365 subscription? Because there is a bulk rule there which does not allow sending out too many emails. Does Dynamics have a solution to this issue?
Yeah, so the answer is no, it actually does not use the Office or Exchange server capabilities. It runs completely separate, and so therefore it's not subject to the scale limitations that are in Outlook. It's a completely separate engine, and further, all of the behavioral insights are tracked in Azure. They're not back in Dynamics. So the benefit of that, of course, is it does not bog down the Dynamics platform at all. So yeah, very good question. But in this case, Microsoft serves as the ESP separately, and all the emails go out through that ESP. There are customers, and we have a few of those customers that are doing millions of emails, daily and certainly monthly and so on.
Thank you. Last question before we wrap up. It's the question that says that, so does Dynamics 365 marketing want all of your customers that you're sending out email campaigns to already have an opt-in in place for sending out emails to them, or that is the responsibility of the organization executing the email campaign through Dynamics 365 marketing?
Very good question again. It is the responsibility of the organization using the application. However, all emails do have to go out with a subscription center, which is, if you're familiar with that term, is an opt-in or opt-out option. And that's actually one of the areas that Coffee and Done does consulting around, is helping you define what those subscription, or you might call them preference centers are, with the idea being to encourage your recipients to opt in to various types of content. And not necessarily just opt out of all communications if there's something they don't want to get. So, but again, the overall responsibility is that of the organization. One other comment, as it relates to regulations such as GDPR, there's absolutely compliance capabilities inherent in the application, and so all those settings can be done by the firm setting it up.
Thank you, Thomas. And Gary, do you have any closing comments? Because I think we've just run 2 minutes over time.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us. I know we went over a bit, but thanks everybody for attending, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your time. Just a last point, we're going to be sharing the recording of this on our website very soon. So any of your colleagues could not attend or you want to revisit this again, feel free to to see this on our website. We should have it up and running by tomorrow. And any questions, as always, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to come back to you with the responses and take it forward. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining in. Have a good day ahead and thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.